Well, welcome into this week's edition of the Weather Hangout. And if you're joining us on WTOL Plus or YouTube, you want to join it, welcome in. We have all 4 meteorologists this week.
We call this the crew that is gathered
just
today.
one, just now, for now at least. But yeah, we got all of us.
Ryan Weekman's with us in spirit. He's likely sleeping at this point as he works the very early morning shift. But we've got Diane Phillips, back from vacation, feeling refreshed.
Yeah, feeling good. Yeah, I went down to Florida. I thought everybody's, on spring break. If you can't beat them, you might as well join them.
Well, Diane, we were hoping you'd bring back some warmer weather for us, but what's going on?
So
came back to a more March
there's
feeling.
the weight limit when you fly, and so I didn't have enough room for more. And then I didn't think you guys wanted the humidity either.
Yeah, the sunshine wouldn't fit in your carry-on, so I get it.
Sunshine is worth its weight in gold. It is, especially this time of the year. Actually, we're going to talk a little bit about that, why this pattern has kind of made that unusual flip from what was really warm April weather. You guys knew when we were talking those 80s back in about mid-April, we said, oh, we're going to pay for it, and we paid for it. Why we're paying for it and when we kind of break out of it, that's going to be coming up in just a little bit as well. Matt, what else do we have coming up in today's edition?
Yeah, so just in a few short days, we have the biggest week in American birding. So we're breaking down everything you need to know about the biggest week in American birding.
Huge week here in Northwest Ohio. In fact, it's so big, you can't even do it within a week. It's 10 days long, kicking off this weekend. And, well, of course, we like to welcome international visitors, national visitors, people from all over the country and world that visit Northwest Ohio. John, eyes to the sky for the next couple of nights?
Yep, we're talking about some cool astronomy sites in May, not just the birds that you can see, but also some phenomena going on here at home and also across the United States, both in terms of some constellations and meteor showers and the sorts. Cool astronomy.
Always love seeing that stuff. It's always fun to, run out and catch it at night. So excited to hear on that.
And speaking of seeing things, how about this video that was coming in out of central Illinois? Matt, take us through this. This wasn't a snowstorm, but had similar impacts to what would have been a whiteout conditions. What happened here?
Yeah, exactly. A dust storm in central Illinois, so not too far away, at least Monday morning, caused a pileup of dozens of cars. State troopers responded to multiple crashes on I-55 just after 11 a.m. And Illinois State Police reported blackout conditions due to the wind blowing dirt in the area, and they did, in fact, have a few casualties with this incident.
Problem is, this time of the year, it's been fairly dry out there, and the farmers are out in their fields. They got the combines, the tillers actually kind of overturning the dirt. Just at that point where we had exposed ground and high winds that whipped up, and it was, you called it a blackout because it would have been similar to a whiteout in a snowstorm, and it caused a major backup. Very unfortunate to see that. John, what's next up for us?
Well, we got the Mississippi River along the Quad Cities finally cresting, meaning that the river is now back on track to recede back to its banks. About time. The National Weather Service has predicted the river would reach a crest of 26.1 feet. However, on Monday, the river actually reached its peak at 21.4 feet in Rock Island.
And John, just last year, it was at record low levels.
Yeah, you can see the dirt on the bottom of the river there, but things are looking quite a bit different than they were a year ago.
All right, Diane, we're going to take you back down toward Florida for a little personal first-hand experience on this, although this wasn't your exact video. What was this?
Yeah, so thankfully this was not where I was, but this is eyewitness video that was captured the moment that a powerful tornado did flip a car into the air and hurled debris all over the highway. This was in Palm Beach, Florida over the weekend. Of course, a big reminder, if you are in your car during those tornado situations, head to that nearest building because
there it is.
Very difficult to see. I don't believe anyone was injured in this, but like I said, the reminder that when we have these situations, if you're on the road and you get that ding on your phone, just pull off, head to that sturdy shelter.
No audio on that particular clip. I wonder why. Maybe a few choice words could have been said at that point. Of
Can't
course,
blame them.
Good idea to seek shelter when that happens. All right, coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to talk why our weather pattern has just been so stagnant and cool here into early May and what we have for an outlook toward some warmer conditions. We'll do that. It's coming up. I know we're all cheering that on.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. Stick around. Coming up right after this weather fun facts. Well, certainly a whole bunch of rainfall back in 1943, over 8 inches. All right, we're going to answer that question now. Why has our weather pattern been so persistent, and what is actually going on, and when do we break out of this one? It all goes back to our atmosphere and our jet stream. We're under the influence of what is called an omega blocking pattern. Now, generally speaking, when we as scientists look at our atmosphere, we look at the jet stream level and the way that the waves in the jet stream move about the United States and, of course, across the globe. Now, we're seeing an interesting pattern in the jet stream that resembles the Greek letter omega, where we see some low pressure systems go around a ridge in the jet stream. So keep this visual in mind as we take a peek at our jet stream. This is what it's looked like over the past 7 days or so. Do you notice that Greek letter omega with an area of low pressure that's been stalled out over the Pacific coast? That is bringing stormy weather over to California. The nation's midsection, a very large ridge of high pressure, which has taken the jet stream up and over up into Canada. And then an area of low pressure. We have experienced this over the past week. It has brought the damp and cool conditions. In fact, a cut-off low pressure system that has been spinning over the Great Lakes region the majority of this week, offering us the very cooler weather. And that trough in the jet stream, or that deep dip in the jet stream, has been the other portion of what we consider an omega blocking pattern. So now, what is going to happen with this one? They often result in stagnant weather patterns, which can last as much as 5 to 7 days before that pattern actually breaks down. So let's look forward from now into the end of the work week, and toward the weekend, we do see a breakdown in that pattern where the ridge in the jet stream is going to come into the Central Plains, into the Great Lakes region. Low pressure moves off to the north and to the east, and that is going to allow much warmer weather to finally make its way back into the area as we go through Friday, Saturday, and eventually into Sunday. So there's a few components to this omega blocking pattern, and ultimately it results in stagnant weather conditions. In the Northeast, we've had that area of low pressure that has resulted in cloudy, wet, and cooler temperatures. That's including the Great Lakes region. That is why we've had the cloud cover, the cold conditions, the breezy weather, and the rain showers for the past several days. In the Great Plains and the High Plains, the center portion of that whole omega block is high pressure, clear, sunny skies, and they've had much warmer temperatures. And then, as I mentioned, back over toward the California coast, the other portion, the other low pressure system, has brought a storm system across California. Low pressure means rainy days and much cooler temperatures. We are seeing a shift in that pattern, though. After a week of some very cool conditions, late April into early May, we're going to finally break out to much warmer conditions. We're going to have much more coming up after this weather fun fact.
Wow, 19 metro parks. In just a few short days, you'll be able to watch some birds out there in all 19 metro parks as you go throughout the next couple of days. And one of the most exciting times for bird watchers is just right around the corner. A record number of people are already registered for the biggest week in American birding. Despite the recent cold weather and rain, the Black Swamp Bird Observatory says the harsh weather isn't going to stop bird watching from coming out. Check it out.
Well, if you've never tried birding before, this is the perfect time because birders are the nicest people in the world. So during the entire month of May, really, not just during the festival, get out and go birding. Our metro parks of Toledo are fantastic places to go birding. So there's not really a particular time of day that's better. Anytime you can get out there, you will be welcomed by the birding community. They'll show you how to spot birds, how to use binoculars, and if you visit thebiggestweekinamericanbirding.com, you'll see that on both weekends of the festival, it's a 10-day event, we have free beginning birder workshops. Great instructors that will teach you how to do everything you need to do to get started in birding.
The 10-day festival kicks off this Friday and runs through May 14th. To break down when and where you can see these birds, we also have meteorologist Diane Phillips to break it down for you.
Yes, so like we've just talked about, we have the biggest week in American birding. And of course, you kind of want some weather that's a little bit nicer to be outside. So hopefully we can change that forecast up for those who are heading into town to do some birding. Of course, this is going to be the peak season for it. So of course, that's why they do have that festival. But how are things working as far as the migration? Has the weather played a role into it? Well, I know it might play a role in for some of those who are going to be, well, out looking and trying to spot. So some of the greatest places that you can spot, of course, there's a lot of good ones, but we're also going to highlight the Black Swamp Observatory. Great place to go. A little bit further east, you're going to find Catawba Point Preserve and also the Cedar Meadows Preserve. We also have the Greek Bend Farm. And then also, this one's pretty popular, and I know a lot of folks also like to hang out here even after the festival, is Maumee Bay State Park. Free to get in there. And of course, you can then do a lot of birding through that wide park there. So a lot of places that you can go, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be busy. As Matt said, there's quite a few people who are registered. So some of the best times, if you're going to be just headed into town to do some of that viewing, is going to be from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. So note our sunrise, that is in the 6 o'clock hour. So you're going to want to let that sun to be up just a little bit, and then you can start to go into that prime viewing time. Then it goes till just about 5 p.m. Of course, we do have our daylight that lasts into the 8 o'clock hour, but of course, as the sun begins to set, you may just not have that bright angle anymore to kind of hold as far as those viewings, and if you're trying to snap any photos or even getting that look in your binoculars. Now, as far as that current bird migration across Ohio, we're estimating about 142,000 to be in the area. But how about Lucas County, a little bit closer to home? Of course, you're going to find those towards Catawba Islands and maybe a little bit higher, but just in Lucas County, we have 3,100 estimated birds that have already been back. And of course, if we can get some warmer temperatures, we will start to see some of those numbers climb, but still not bad because of course we want to see those warblers. We have about 20 species in that family. So of course, we're going to be keeping an eye on them. And as those birds take flight, they're going to definitely be busy giving on a show for many of the people that are going to be here in town. But of course, a lot of people are keeping their eyes maybe not so high. Those birds, of course, they're not as high as the planes. And while they're even still in our atmosphere, they're not out of this world. But we do have some pretty interesting things going on, not only in the birding community, but also in the astronomy community. So I'm going to turn it over to meteorologist John Birchfield. John, I know I love going out and seeing some of these cool things that we have coming up. So what is happening here for the month of May in the skies above?
Yeah, Diane, certainly some out of this world sights to be seen. The birds super cool and a great reason to flock to Northwest Ohio. But if you want to look even higher up in the night sky, we've got some good news for you. And it all starts this weekend as we look towards the Aquarid meteor shower. We are looking at Friday and Saturday of May 5th to 6th, and you'll be able to see a number of meteors up in the sky. If you go out for a few minutes, you could see a couple, as the rate of falling meteors will be up to 50 per hour. That's almost 1 per minute, and even just a few minutes of stargazing could result in several meteors up in the sky. Temperature and forecast wise looking perfect. Partly cloudy skies. There should be enough breaks in the cloud cover that you will see some clearing and have a nice opportunity to see the meteor shower. So what direction are you going to look to see the Aquarid meteor shower? Looking east southeast. I've got the compass situated there. Look east southeast in the night sky to see the Aquarids, and of course it's named after the constellation there that you'll see in that direction, east southeast in the night sky this weekend, Friday and Saturday. What about a full moon? We're also going to coincide the meteor shower with a gorgeous full moon, and not surprisingly, this one's called the full flower moon. You can see a list of some of our special full moons coming up, and this one in the month of May is aptly named, as after all, the April showers bring May flowers saying is the reason for the name of this one, looking at the full flower moon this weekend. Now, the full moon and the brightness that it causes could perhaps make it a little harder to see the meteors, but hopefully you can have your cake and eat it too and see both the meteor shower as well as the full moon. What about some planets that could be seen? Well, you might have a chance to see the planet Mercury. This is going to be in the early morning hours of the 29th of May. So a little bit towards the latter half of the month, early morning. If you're an early riser, it'll appear bright in the sky. It'll almost look like a bright star at first, but then you'll be able to discern that it's not a star, that is a planet, and you'll be able to see that on the 29th. Last but not least, this one's not local, but it is certainly an amazing phenomenon that happens twice every year, and one of them is going to happen just in the next couple of weeks on May May 30th. This one's called Manhattan Henge. Have you ever heard of Stonehenge before? That prehistoric monument in England is where this derives its name. Now, it actually got its name from famous astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is a native New Yorker, and he noticed the similarities. Basically, with Manhattan Henge, the sun aligns with the east-west streets of New York, and due to the grid layout of New York City, it's a really cool phenomenon. As you can see from this photo, the sun lines up right along those openings in the street, and folks flock to take pictures of this spectacle that happens twice per year. Now, of course, that's not local, but it's still something you might see in the news headlines, and you might see some incredible photos on social media. If you have friends in New York, you'll also inevitably hear about it, and a lot of tourists go to take some once-in-a-lifetime photos there with Manhattan Henge. We'll have a little bit more coming up after the break. I'll send you up to a weather fun fact.
How about that? Looking forward to that biggest week in American birding, but it's not the only thing that's going to send people flocking to the shores of Lake Erie, so to speak. What else do we have coming up?
Cedar Point, right? Opening day.
How about that?
Oh, yeah.
Who's ready for some thrills, right?
Yeah, everything seems to be coming so fast with it being cold. I can't believe it's birding, it's Cedar Point, it's amusement ride time. It's
Warmer
not
weather.
warm outside.
Yeah.
You just had a week of thrills, right? So where were you, Diane?
So I went to Disney World. It's like I won the Super Bowl.
Right.
So I went to Disney World. I did all the rides, but they're more my size. You know, sometimes the Cedar Point rides get a little too big for me.
Yeah, it brings out the kid in everyone, doesn't it, going down to Disney? Puts you in a good mood and brings back a lot of good memories, too, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Were
So
you
it
the
was
one
fun.
screaming on "It's a Small World"?
No, I kept it
Okay,
contained
you kept
for
it
that one.
cool for that one.
No, I did ride the new Tron ride though.
And how was it?
And I did scream on that one because you go from like 0 to 70 in like 3 seconds, and there's
Love
no
it.
windshield there.
Love it. John,
fun.
are you a roller coaster enthusiast?
Every once in a while. Cedar Point's a little bit above my level.
Me too.
I'm pretty risk averse compared to some people. What about you, Matt?
I mean, I have not been able to get out to Cedar Point, but this is the year. I'm ready to. I'm not afraid of heights, so any roller
All
coaster, none of them off limits.
Before we leave you, we do have that Cedar Point forecast for Saturday, which is going to be opening day. A little bit cooler near the Lake Erie shore, so always keep that in mind if you're going to be dressing for the weather. Should be a fairly bright day. Partly sunny skies, upper 50s to near 60 degrees with that east wind up to about 15 miles per hour. And can you hear the chug, 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 chug of Millennium Force as it zips up that big hill into blue skies?
I think a lot of people are just happy to see dry weather. I don't think they really worry about the temperature. If it's going to be dry, why not?
As you said, though, Diane, this is just a sign of things to come, right? When things open back up
Finally
for
the
the spring
kickoff.
season, it really is. It's here. It is the kickoff to gorgeous weather. In fact, this is our first weather hangout in the month of May, and we'll have much more to come in the month of May. In fact, weekly, you'll be able to join us if it's on YouTube or on WTOL 11+. We appreciate having you along each and every week for our weather hangout. Till next time, have a good one.